to abolish disease, to eliminate crime, to establish a perfectly content, perfectly ordered world, all under the benevolence of my iron will.
Welcome y'all. Ho ho ho. I hope you're enjoying your festive seasons. I hope the holidays are going well. I mean, I'm at this side, I'm hoping the same for you. And I know it's been a long time. Sorry about that. Life gets you in many ways. I'm not going to go into the details, but I'm sure we all know because we're all, grown people with grown business. So I was handling my grown business. So anyways, I brought this beat here. I was making It's Not Saturday samples. I was just making a beat and I felt I need to share this with the community. It's just too fire. Excuse me for blowing my own trumpet, but yeah, it's just too fire. I can't keep this to myself. So let's get into it. So to start off this beat, I got this sample. I'm gonna let it play through. Yeah, that's about it. This is like literally all I used. So what I did here was I time stretched it to fit the BPM of 91. And when I time stretched it, it was still on resample. So the pitch changed. I was making this beat while watching a Navy D video. I think the video was making 90s beats with today's gear. So he was saying that when you time stretch, you shouldn't match the pitch and everything. You should try to emulate what those people had, the restrictions that they had. So with that in mind, I just stretched it and I recorded it in Edison so I don't lose the new pitch. And I got this over here. Cool, right? And then I chopped it up a bit to come up with this pattern. Pretty simple. It's like a 1-bar loop and that's really too small. So what I did, also in accordance with Navy D's video, I simply did this. I stretched it and I came up with this pattern. So that's the main sample that's playing throughout the whole beat. And within the beat, I have some additional sample layers that I've added. We'll start off with the first one here, where I use this sample. What I did with this sample was I pitched it down to get it in key and I stretched it a bit, and now it sounds like this. Right? And then I use stem separation. I know it's a bit of a modern technique and we're trying to avoid those, but I just had to. There were certain things that I didn't want here, like the bass and the drums. So I used stem separation and I got this. But I didn't leave all the other parts to waste. For example, with the drums, this is where my creativity, I feel like I pushed it a bit. With the drums, I kind of used them to make a texture, which sounds like this. It's to me, that's kind of crazy. It's like, how does someone make this, How did I do that? So I just pitched it down some more, and I used Fruity Limiter to first squash it. Then guess what? I squashed it again with a bit of saturation. And then I added a compressor to squash it again, but then this time to also boost the gain. So it's now got this pumping effect right? And then I use these small vocals. When I was doing stem separation, it managed to detect vocals, but I'm sure you didn't pick up any vocals. I didn't pick up any vocals, but it got vocals and I use them as a texture in the beat. Those are the vocals. So yeah, I use those. And for the second sample that I used. I used a second texture here. This is the sample. That's basically it. I just used, these first 2 bars here. And what I did was I just stretched it because this is already in key. Fortunately, I love when that happens, when you're like making a beat and everything starts to work. The samples you pick, they're in key and the ideas just keep flowing. It just makes sense. I love those kind of beats. So I got this. And throughout the whole beat, I don't think I use this part. I mostly use the lower part here. Because to me, that sounds, how can I say this? The notes that are playing are more in key for the bass. I really did a wonder with the bass, man. I really outdid myself. This was the sample that I used. Well, I first used stem separation on it to extract the bass. So this is the sample. Pretty solid, right? And then I extracted the bass using stem separation and I got this. So obviously I stretched it and I fixed the pitch to put it in key, and I could have just left it like this, but it's one of those beats where everything just starts making sense and you're flowing. So while I was flowing, I decided to chop up this bass pattern and use it in my own beat. That's crazy to me, man. I created a pattern, not by like piano roll and everything, but by simply chopping, and it works. So it sounds like this. Let me play the last 4 bars. Awesome, right? And this part here, I actually got it from the flute sample, the one that I used right here. So somewhere in there, there's this bass riff that I got here, and I like that, so I put it there. That concludes the bass. We have one last thing, the drums, right? And I simply sampled again. This whole beat is just a whole lot of samples. I didn't do a bunch, but it does sound good, So the drum sounds like this. Of course, I think in this beat, I really shined with like the whole effects and everything. So this is what I did for the drums. I connected it to a parallel drum bus and I used Fruity multi-band compressor, 2 presets. I can't really remember them, but I'm sure it was like warmth and bass boost. Yeah, probably. And I got this compressor over here just to catch some of the peaks and to make it sound more even, so as some of the peaks come down and some of the lows get up. And I got degrader, and that's just for texture. And I got some reverb here, and I got this EQ to cut out a bit of the highs, because degrader and the reverb, they brought their own high end, and that was a bit too much, man. You don't want too much high end when you're making these. That's what Navy D was saying. And I just realized I'm saying his name wrongly. I believe it's Navi D. I'm so sorry about that. And I have neural note on my drums. I have neural note on my drums. I don't know why neural note is on my drums. Okay, so let me just also cover the effects for the sample. I believe I put a lot of effects on it. Let me get that right here. Yeah, with the effects on this sample, degrader, right? I just use presets from this thing. Sometimes I make my own, but most of the time it's just presets. And I got this EQ here to cut out most of the lows. I didn't use stem separation. I just used this EQ, like I said, to emulate what those guys had, the disadvantages that they had, the restrictions rather. So you just want to remove the bass via EQ. You don't want to, pull out stem separation and all of that. I know I did. Forgive me, but yeah. I have a bit of high boost here. And I think it's to boost a specific instrument, probably the string. Let's just test that out right now. Yes, this is the EQ to boost the strings. I like those strings, so I boosted them because I like them, right? And I had Neural Note and Melodyne. I was trying to compare because I just recently got Neural Note. Most of the time it's Melodyne that I'm using, so I just wanted to see which one is more accurate, and you know, if they're both telling the truth. And yeah, they were both on point. They were both reading the same notes, and I think that's good, just to have a second opinion. So that's it. That's the whole beat. It's pretty simple, but it's not at the same time. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I did a lot in this beat, but it doesn't take away the simplicity of that beat. And of course, on the master, I just remove some lows and remove some highs. And I have the casual delay and, you know, fruity wave shaper, the usual stuff, man. I always have that. So, yeah, that's the whole beat. Oh, how could I forget my glorious king, Victor Von Doom. Oh, man. I got this Victor Von Doom sample here.
To abolish disease, to eliminate crime, to establish a perfectly content, perfectly ordered world, all under the benevolence of my iron will.
So, yeah, I'm gonna put maybe timestamps so that you guys can skip to the outro and the beat. But I just wanna, you know, talk about Dr. Doom. You know, if I wasn't making a YouTube channel on like music, I'll probably be covering comics, Victor Von Doom comics. I've read so much about this dude, so I was just inspired to put him here because it's also kind of gritty, you know. So yeah. And with all of that being said, I'd just like to thank you all. Yeah, I'd just like to thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate, as usual, I don't take it for granted when people sit down and watch my videos, you know, spend time commenting, reaching out, you know, saying, hey, sample this, hey, I like how you sampled this, or maybe, hey, change this up. You know, I really appreciate all of that. I really appreciate all the support that I've been shown, and I'm grateful. I believe that is my Thanksgiving thing. I know it's a bit late for Thanksgiving, but that's what I'm thankful for. Yeah, so thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time. Not next week Saturday. This isn't Saturday samples. I hope to see you next time, the next time I drop a post. So thanks.
To abolish disease, to eliminate crime, to establish a perfectly content, perfectly ordered world, all under the benevolence of my